Today I'm going to walk you through my journey of daily driving the Moondrop phone for 4 months straight. I even brought it to CS Phone 24 and shocked a lot of people there. So we're gonna answer the question if this is the right phone for you or audio player. But yeah, let's get started. Selamat pagi. Good morning everyone, Kenneth here, and finally welcome to my review of the Moondrop MIAD01, short for their first mobile internet audio device. And so with that name, I want to set the expectations right here because it's best to think of this phone as an audio player first, which happens to make calls and connects to the internet. But before we start, everything said is my own honest opinion here. Full disclosure and affiliate links are down below. If you click through them before buying anything, I may get a small commission at no extra cost to you. So thank you for the support, and let's walk you through starting with the unboxing. So this is a very thin box. I love the artwork as expected from Moondrop, but you only get the phone, a nice braided charging cable, and that's it. The phone supports 33 watts fast charging and it uses 3 amps PPS standard. So some chargers, most notably Xiaomi ones, will not even charge it since they support 4 amps only at the lowest, which is pretty interesting. I didn't know this could happen. Infinite chargers work fine, although for full speed, you need something like this Anker Nano 2 and you plug it into the laptop port, or you can use also any other PPS chargers that support 3 amps, which usually is written in the description or in the box. I'll show a short list of them here and I'll link my recommendation below as well. But yeah, while we're talking about charging, let's touch on the 5000 mAh battery here. So half an hour charge will take you up to 60%, and a full charge takes about 1 hour, which is competitive with other phones out there. And as far as using the phone normally, you could expect around 1.5 days of social media, browsing, and watching videos, which is pretty good. But what blew my mind is the standby time. So if you decide to use this like a DAP or digital audio player and turn off all the wireless connections, this phone could stand by for days. I'm talking up to 4 days before it's completely drained. Something truly incredible in the Android world. And you can get up to 27 hours, so that's 1 full day of balanced 4.4mm output, or more than 30 hours on the 3.5mm jack. It's basically a great DAP in itself. But let's keep talking about this music playback functionality. So if you use it like a phone and stream music from the internet, you can have dual SIM card and dual 5G running. But if you do have your music collection in an SD card, then this phone could take up to 2 terabytes in exchange for 1 SIM slot. And it's also got a spacious 256 gigs of storage and 12 gigs of RAM, so you can actually just use the phone as it is, which by the way is much more spacious than most DAPs out there that come with only 32 gigabytes of storage. Then I want to touch on performance. This $400 phone uses Dimensity 7050, which is basically another 5G variant of Helio G99. And it scores around 550K on Antutu V10. And compared to gaming phone, that score can double or triple that for $100 less, which is a bit sad. But actually, when compared to other DAPs around this price, which are known to use like Snapdragon 660 all the time, that chip only scores around 230K on Antutu, making it half as fast. One popular example being the Hibi R4, although granted it's much cheaper, but you get the point. So what you're paying for here is the dedicated DAC chips, the circuitry, the power supply, and the shielding here. I mean, Moondrop even had to cut costs by putting the ambient light sensor beside the headphone jack on the top, where I thought it was a notification LED or IR blaster. I'm gonna talk about it later. But going back to the audio, we got dual flagship for mobile DAC, the Cirrus Logic CS43131. It's like having their much loved Dawn Pro DAC slapped into this phone, and it's no slouch. You can read all the specs and numbers on their website, but basically this phone can drive any IEMs and most headphones out there. Heck, even the guy in Sony's booth at CS 2024 was surprised to see me driving the $2,000 MDR-Z1R headphone decently. And of course, I'm using the balanced output here, but I know for you new to the hobby, myself included, might ask the question, what is balanced? So firstly, the 3.5mm jack we're all used to is unbalanced. It uses one DAC and amplifier to give signal to both left and right channel. Whereas in balanced connection, considering that the cable is also balanced, you're dedicating one DAC and amp to each ear. That's why you see 2 DAC chips here. Some of the improvements are having lower noise, better separation, but I didn't notice that as much as the power improvement, which means your IEMs will be much louder, or in the case of headphones, they can be driven loud enough without pushing the volume too high. Speaking of volume, what I love in this phone, and actually what I think is the selling point of dongle DACs in general, is the 100 level volume adjustments. This means you can really dial down to the perfect volume level you want, unlike with Bluetooth earbuds or Apple dongle, for example, where sometimes the volume might be either too loud or too quiet, which is never the case right here. Now let's touch on sound quality. Honestly, I still don't have the confidence to tell you the differences between each DAC chips, but at least I can say it sounds fuller in the lower frequencies than if I connect directly to my Mac. Compatibility is a big factor because should I encounter devices that uses 4.4mm jack, let's say if I want to test out a headphone in a store, then this phone can do that no problem. I don't have to bring anything else. Moving on, obviously it's got built-in solution to bypass Android SRC or sample rate conversion, so you can actually play music according to their high-res specs and not stuck in 48 kHz. And with the latest update, it's actually shown on the top left corner, and you can do this on normal Androids with special apps like Neutron, UAPP, Hibi Music, and Fio Music. You can also install them here, but on the Moondrop, you can also play bit-perfect audio with streaming apps like Apple Music, Tidal, Amazon Prime Music, which I really appreciate. But I want to take my time to encourage everyone to not focus too much on the numbers, but instead to actually enjoy your music more. And that's where the AudioConsole app comes in. This is a built-in app where you can set a global parametric EQ, which goes super deep, almost intimidatingly so for beginners, but then you can also download profiles from either Moondrop or the community and go from there. And also there are two global sound effects here. First, the amp tube makes overall sound a tiny bit warmer, which I found pretty nice, and the VDSF Plus increases soundstage very slightly, but I don't use too much. So that's about it for the sound. It's a fantastic phone for music, and I'm glad Moondrop went with this route. But yeah, let's come back and talk about the actual performance running apps. And I tell you, it really is enough. Generally, I never had any problem switching between apps, from browsing to chatting on Discord while playing Apple Music. Even light mobile gaming in Honor of Kings plays just fine. It can do high FPS and ultra resolution and stay there throughout the game, which is good. I would refrain from pushing the phone hard with HoYoverse games, for example, because they don't seem to have a huge heatsink. So you'll really feel the heat only around the top part near the camera, and the performance will drop instantly when you hit the temperature limit. Otherwise, the Android 13 here is pretty bare bones with similar feel to stock AOSP or Nothing OS. So you have to swipe down twice to reveal the settings button or even adjust brightness, which is quite bothersome to be honest. And there's no pop-up view here. So the best multitasking you can do is the plain old split view by tapping the app icon on the multitasking screen. Now, what about software updates? In the months I've used the phone, I got 2 software updates. The second one was actually to fix the first one. But basically, it was for the AudioConsole app and the sample rate display I just talked about. Teacher Kenneth chiming in here, and actually as of October 12th, we got a full Android 14 major update, which is a big relief for those of you questioning whether it will get a software update or not. As for security updates, it actually jumped from somewhere January, February something to May 2024 and then now to August 2024. So they're committing into updating this thing. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the update, and let's get back to the video. Now let's talk about some quirks it's got. Firstly, it comes free of Google Play services, but it's more like disabled. So there's actually a toggle in the apps called Google Basic Services that you can just turn on. And then you install any Google Play Store APK. I'll try to link one below. And then things will update themselves and you can log in, then everything should be up and running just fine. Now for the second quirk, let's just say you need to change the launcher. I used to run Nova Launcher here, but then one of my sub recommended Niagara Launcher and I've never looked back ever since. It's very simple and fast to launch any apps you want, and it works well with the black Moondrop background. Highly recommend you try it. Now moving on to the third and the last quirk here, basically you are prompted to set app permissions the first time you run that app. The problem with this is I don't know what exact permissions the app needs to run. Sometimes if I disable everything, then maybe the app will not run at all. Or if I allow everything, then maybe I might leave some extra things that's not needed right away. So it's a very interesting approach. With that said, now I got 3 potential downsides to tell you with this phone. First, as the phone has the lowest level 3 Wi-Fi DRM, streaming Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, you name it, you will be stuck with lower than HD resolution, or 480p to be exact. One exception I know is Crunchyroll, which streams at full 1080p just fine, and honestly, That is the only streaming I use on mobiles. I watch the others on Apple TV, so I had no problem. But the thing is, most phones these days already have the required hardware, and there's no licensing fee here. So Moondrop just needed to pass the certification process and apply them through a software update. So there is hope, but no promises though. Second potential downside is the ambient light sensor, which is placed at the top of the phone next to the 4.4mm jack, like I said. I didn't notice this until very late, and it actually explains all my problems with auto brightness. Like, a lot of the time, I put the phone against some stuff which covers the sensor and made the phone super dark. Then I pick it up and only seconds later it ramps up the brightness. It also doesn't respond as quickly when going from a dark to bright room and vice versa, so I found myself manually adjusting the brightness a lot more with this phone. And then finally, the third potential downside. Now, this is kind of a problem at first. Basically, there's no touch rejection when the phone is in your pocket. So a lot of the time, you'll end up pulling the phone out with passwords typed all over. I can avoid it by facing the screen out when putting it in my pocket, but it's not a natural movement. And just wanted to cram it over here, God, the fingerprint sensor. If I have written this review 2 months ago, I would have set this phone on fire because it never detects my finger. But apparently everyone else's Moondrop phone at CES worked just fine. So I tried re-registering my fingers 2 times now, and they finally work, albeit it is one of the slowest reader I've ever had in my life. Alright, now I'll just go through some quick notable things about the screen and build quality here. Generally, I have no major problems with the AMOLED display. It's got good colors and mostly uniform bezels, refreshes at 120Hz and stays fluid throughout most of my use case. And it's got a standard 1080p 6.7-inch screen, which we take for granted in the phone world, but it's actually not the case for DAPs. You usually get either less resolution or smaller screen, although granted, that's in the name of portability. But my point is, the display is pretty good. What's not so good is because the screen is curved and it's got a very wide angle, unlike the small angle on the Infinix Note 40, you really feel the curve in daily use. So much so that I needed to resize my keyboard to use only the flat part, and I don't think it uses Gorilla Glass of any kind, so I don't want to peel off the included screen protector, but I really want to because it's a hydrogel. It comes already attached from the box, but it just doesn't feel as good to tap on. But what's really bugging me is if I put this in my bag, it comes in contact with zipper, keys, or even some cards, instantly I can see bubbles show up. So I have to take extra care and treat this screen protector like a baby. And the problem is it's near impossible to find a replacement screen protector for it. So if you know, let me know in the comments. I would like to buy one. Now, about build quality. This phone is made of plastic. As you can see from the shape and texture, almost feels like a 3D printed case, and actually I dropped it quite a lot because I also use this for my kid's screen time and he drops phones a ton. And so far, the only thing I got is some dents on the edges but no damage to the screen or internal part, which is a good thing about plastic. It dampens shock. One interesting tidbit is I tried 3D printing the step file included in Moondrop's website, but unfortunately, that didn't fit. So don't do the same mistake and just get their $5 case here. Really improves handling. It's hard plastic too, so it doesn't yellow over time. I'll link it down below. And by the way, I kind of like the huge bump on the top here. It gives space for my finger to properly support the phone. Also, it's completely level, so it doesn't rock on a table. Now, it's also worth noting that after using this phone quite a lot for navigation, what I notice is sometimes when I'm underground, the phone doesn't lock GPS as quickly as any other phone. I need to get a clear view of the sky first, and then it behaves like a normal phone. Same thing with Wi-Fi signal. It feels like when other phones have 2 bars, I can only get 1 bar here instead. Again, it's not so bad that I cannot access internet, but just something worth mentioning here. Bluetooth, on the other hand, is fine. So no problems using True Wireless earbuds with this, but since it uses Nadia tech, it only supports SBC, AAC, and LDAC. Okay, so last but not least is the camera. I'll let the sample pictures speak for themselves here. It takes, well, acceptable picture in good lighting conditions that looks like a phone from a decade ago. But then when things get dark, then it's going to struggle a lot. And it applies to all lenses from main, ultra wide, and front camera. So honestly, it's only for scanning QR codes, which is a big thing in my country and China for payment. But I kind of expected this because even the marketing material says It's not good, but it works, which is so darn honest. I truly respect that. By the way, the built-in gallery app is like taken straight out of Android KitKat. Remember that? So I highly suggest downloading Google Gallery instead, which is a totally offline app just to manage your photos a little bit better. And yeah, touching video a little bit here. This is also another aspect where I can just say, at least it's there. So technically this can record up to 4K 30, but then the quality is just, let's just forget about it. Let's check out a few sample recordings here. Okay, today we are shooting with the front camera of the Moondrop MIAD01. And what do you think of the video quality? Let's just switch over to the back camera right now, maybe, because yeah, it is what it is. If you want to do anything with photos and videos, use your primary phone instead. With that said, let me know what you think of the Moondrop's first phone. It's not a groundbreaking phone, neither a top-of-the-line DAP, but it works very well in real life, and I enjoyed my time using it these past 4 months. So if you want to check out the most performance you can get for $300, then check out this video, and I'll be reviewing a very exciting phone soon. I also got another one. I'll post the unboxing in my IG Reels and TikTok. So hope to see you there. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm Kenneth, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.